No one should be alone with him. A little context before we begin. I'm a 16-year-old girl and work as a waitress at a restaurant. There's a lot of other girls around my age who work as waitresses too. Each waitress/waiter has certain sections of tables to serve. Now let's begin. I haven't worked here for very long, but I've worked here long enough to manage a section on my own. I'm fairly friendly with my co-workers, so when one of the janitorial workers would make small talk with me, I didn't think anything of it. He'd talk to me fairly often, as I would often see him working in my section when I'd come out to clear tables. I figured it was pure coincidence. I was taking a break in the back room eating my dinner when the janitor guy walked in and sat down at the table behind me. He once again made small talk, literally nothing super important, as I inhaled my pancakes. Then one of the other girls walked in and we began talking for a long while. The janitor left about 5 minutes into me and the other girl's conversation, and I, once again, didn't think anything of it. While I was cleaning up, I thanked the girl for talking with me and she said, "Oh, I just came in to make sure you weren't alone. No one should be alone with him." I later learned from the other teenage girls that the guy had a habit of pestering and being generally creepy, and following them to the car while he was a middle-aged man. I was freaked the fuck out, of course, and looking back, I am 80% sure the dude was following me around while I worked in my section. So yeah, creepy janitor dude, please fuck off. My co-workers are trying to drug me. My work is trying to drug me. Okay, now, hear me out. I know this sounds crazy, but let me explain. I work at a pretty popular restaurant not far from where I live. I can't tell you my position in case any co-workers/people I know see this, but I handle a couple little things around here. The other day when I was working, I was a little busy ringing people up trying to pay for their food, and I asked my co-worker to get me a refill. He does get me a refill and all is fine. I woke up feeling energized and completely healthy. I drink half of my drink and I start getting really sleepy and dizzy, and thankfully another co-worker notices and stays with me until it's time to clock out. I go home and I legit pass out on my couch with my family. I don't think much of it until later when I wake up like very forgetful and stuff, but let it go. A few days later, I'm working with another co-worker in my position and we have plans that night to hang out. When we're done with our plans, we come back to the restaurant where the other workers are still there drinking. This is allowed at my restaurant on after hours. Well, we come in and talk with everyone, and my manager and his brother are asking if I want something to drink, alcohol, but I have to drive later and it's already late at night. I tell them, no, I am okay, and then they ask, not even water. This will be important for later, and again I tell them no, I am okay. They end up making my coworker a drink and make me one that I put in a to-go cup and take my friend to her house. Well, I end up giving my drink to my friend and eventually I leave her house. She drinks it the next day and feels completely out of it. She's older and has drank alcohol before with no issues ever. She tells me this and what happened to her, and it was the exact same thing that happened to me days before. Now for them asking me if I want water. Water is a street name for GHB. A date rape drug, I think that's what it's called. And I talked to my mom and asked her about symptoms, and I now have no doubt in my mind that my coworkers were going to try and rape me, or who knows what, if I would have drank it at the restaurant the night before. If it wasn't for my coworker the first day, who is a guy, looking out for me, I don't know what would have happened, but I refuse to eat or drink anything my other male coworkers try and give me. I hope someone sees this and learns from this, because I never would have thought they would do that to me. Psychotic juggalo in the park who wouldn't let my boyfriend and I leave. I'll start this off by saying that I live in a large city in Florida, and in this city we have a large homeless population. Most of the homeless in the city are mentally unwell, and the city officials do nothing to help them. I, 25, female, recently started dating this guy named Daniel, 30, male, and after going out to eat we decided to visit the park for some time outdoors. It was a beautiful day and we decided to sit on a bench under some shade and play 20 questions to get to know one another better and to make out if I am being entirely honest. We had been sitting and talking for about half an hour when this man approached us. He had paint all over his face, but it looked like he had gotten caught in the rain with the way it was wiped off and smeared everywhere. He was wearing a dirty white shirt and jeans filled with holes, and a pair of shoes that looked like they were falling apart. I was a bit offset not by his clothing, but by the paint all over his face. It was really out of place in the park we were at. He started off by asking us if we knew of anyone hiring right now, to which myself and my boyfriend told him we didn't, as both of us had not even been working much with the pandemic going on. After every sentence he uttered, and he would laugh, hey, exactly that sound every time. He then told us his name was Xander. He was a juggalo who used to beatbox for a living. He recently was released from jail for assault, and he was just trying to get together enough money to get back to Ohio. My boyfriend was a lot nicer than I was. I just kind of stared at the guy and asked him where we could find him if we heard of any job opportunities. The guy told us that he sat at X gas station every day from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. and then wandered around looking for work the rest of the day. He then plopped down right on the path out of the park by the open entrance and told us he was really glad we would actually talk to him. Remember, he is laughing almost manically after every sentence. He said that one of the last people that he tried to talk to had ignored him, and he pulled a knife on her and threatened her. We think this is why he went to jail. He then asked if he could beatbox for us, and my boyfriend said, sure, we would love to hear it. He was blocking our way out of the park, and I was terrified at this point. Xander then proceeded to take off his hat and shoes and throw them down the sidewalk, though I have no idea why, and beatboxed for us. He was actually really good, but I was too scared to care at the time. I was assuming that if we slighted him in any way, then we were going to get injured. There was no way for me to safely call the police, and the park was nearly empty aside from us. Xander then went on to talk about how he had a pet squirrel and a pet dog, and they helped him when he was alone on the streets, and asked us to let him know if we knew of anyone getting rid of any pit bull puppies, cause his last dog had just been taken from him from the police, and he could really use another one. He pulled a pocket knife out of his jeans and started cutting at his pants with it. He then told me that if I knew of any girls who were not too clingy, to send them his way because he would treat them right and take care of them. We had been sitting there with Xander for over an hour and a half, and I was close to tears at this point. A police car drove past the park with the sirens on right then, and Xander abruptly stood up, shoved his open pocket knife back in his pocket, nodded at us, and hurried away across the park. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, then hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more Reddit videos.